Okay, hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the channel or welcome to the Spotify episode. If you're listening via that means, my name is Mike of the YouTube. Did you see that? And my guests today, yes, that's right, I've got two guests, is the Adventures of Michael and Julie. So this is episode 6. We're going to talk about anything and everything over the space of 1 hour. The simple concept is if the timer gets to 0 seconds, even if we're mid conversation, that is the end of the conversation. I will leave the link in the description box on the YouTube video or on the Spotify description of my guests' YouTube channel. Please check them out. We will explore a little bit about them, their YouTube channel, and so much more in this episode. So for now, please enjoy and thank you so much for your support. One. There we go.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, well, firstly, I just want to say thanks, Michael and Julie, for joining me. Like, it's like the amount of time we've known each other, like through YouTube comments
Mhm.
and now collaborating, like, it's amazing. So, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Yeah, we're doing really well, Mike. Thank you for having us. Like you said, I mean, we've been in each other's comments for a long, long time now. I think it might have even been
Right.
a movie review initially, is what drew each other, us to one another. So yeah, I'm so happy to finally be seeing and speaking with you.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you were either our first ever subscriber or our first ever comment. I can't remember for sure, but I remember it was so exciting because we had just made our channel and we're just doing movie reviews way back then.
Right. Right. And I think when you first start that YouTube channel, it's you kind of like get like friends and family commenting,
Right.
and
Yes.
We didn't tell any of our friends or family about our channel. We were way too embarrassed to
oh,
do that. So we were just
okay.
hoping somebody in the void would find us, and it was you.
Yeah, well, hey guys, well, thank you. Yeah, I don't do it as often nowadays, but like back when, because I feel like it's been a few years since I
I
came
think
Yeah, it
so.
has.
Yeah.
came across your channel. Um, I used to kind of like seek out like brand new people to YouTube or people who haven't got as many subscribers and kind of see what they're about. And then I came across you guys. I was like, well, hey, these guys seem pretty cool. And but
Well, we
now you
appreciate
guys, yeah,
that.
of course. But you guys have gone now from like, well, as you said, like maybe like 0 or like a few subs to like over 1,000, which is insane. So congrats on that first. That's awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you, and the same to you, Mike. I
Yes.
know you were much smaller than you are now. You got a whole big upgrade and a new intro. Like I remember, I think the first time we started watching you regularly, I believe you were sitting on the couch. Is that right? Does that sound right? When you were doing your background, your backdrop?
Could have been because I think at that point I may have been living at my mum's house. I'm not really
Mhm.
too sure.
Okay, yeah.
So
We've
could
all
have
gone through
been.
something like
Yeah,
it.
so we've all gone through some life changes these last years. So it's crazy to be thinking about we've kind of had the pulse on each other's channel, for years, but having the first time to speak is really nice.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been wanting to collab with you guys for like the longest time. Um, is this your first ever kind of like live stream, recording, talking to someone via like YouTube?
Yeah.
It is. It
Mhm.
is.
Wow.
We
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well, I'm honored. I'm honored.
no, stop. We're so happy you
it
were the
always
first one to ask.
yeah, it always should have been you. Yeah, it always should have been you.
No, well, hey, I appreciate it, guys. I really do. So I want to give it this opportunity to hand it over to you guys. So what I mean by that is for anyone who's coming across this like Spotify episode, listening via podcast route, or anyone who's watching the video version here on YouTube, they may have never seen your channel before. They may have never heard of you guys. So do you want to just introduce yourselves and what your YouTube channel is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to go? You should go. It was your idea. It was Julie's idea originally.
It's been a lot of
Okay.
things. It started as a brainstorm on a cruise in August of 2022. We wanted to
Okay.
make a channel completely dedicated to carnivore content because I was into the carnivore community a lot more then than I am now. And we got home, and that didn't last long. And we decided we were going to watch every found footage movie ever made and
Yeah.
review them one by one. And we got way down the rabbit hole with that.
Mm,
I think we put the
mm.
brakes on when we came across Cannibal Holocaust. That was where we decided we
That
can't do
was
this anymore.
yeah, nice.
And then we kind of
Okay.
floundered around for a while. We didn't really know what we were going to do. We kept changing our channel name.
Yeah.
I don't really know when we.
Do you? So I think, Mike, what we had just moved to Florida.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And Julie had been throwing around this idea really right as COVID was going through its throes. And we moved to Florida in March of 22. And around that time, it's kind of like, okay, if we're going to transition, maybe you should give this a shot, and I'll help you film whatever. She was much more into YouTube than what I was. I essentially just used it for some ASMR or some music, really.
Okay.
And so she was finding these creators like yourself, just normal, everyday folks. And she's like, I just want to see people go explore. And I was like, well, we just moved to Florida. We could try to do some of that. And so there's a video of like one of the tropical storms slash hurricanes that we filmed not long after we moved down. And like Jill said, we had just kind of started going through some dietary changes and reading about inflammation and all these other things. And so we didn't really know what we were, but we wanted to put it out there so that if it was just this random movie that we went to see, it was our first reaction in the truck as we're on our way home, or if it was going out and exploring some I don't know, a shell mound in Florida from years ago. It was kind of anything and everything in the
Yeah.
hopes of, well, somebody's going to enjoy this. Maybe not every video, because we don't want to really pigeonhole ourselves into anything, but come along with us. And today it might be really great, and tomorrow it might be a hodgepodge of stuff,
I
you
think
know?
it took us a year to decide to call the channel Adventures with
Yeah.
Michael and Julie. And as soon as we did, then it became Adventures. And that's what it's been ever
Right.
since.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And have you guys ever felt at times of maybe like stepping out of adventures, or you guys solely now focus be like, right, adventures it is, you know?
That's a good question, because I think the short answer is yes. Both of us actually kind of started side projects. Julie has, done some ASMR before, whether it's a flip through or soft speaking. I have thought about, maybe doing something that was just along the lines of sports science related stuff, or movies like yourself, because I have always enjoyed movies. And
We should do more
I
movies.
think, but together, maybe the next transition, I should say, in the channel was when we decided that we were going to leave the country, in the US, and go to Colombia, South America to live for a few months and just document it. And so that was the first time we'd ever daily vlogged. And we're like, okay, we're going to do it. And it's going to be me walking home from the gym saying, here's what I saw today, or here's what I did today. And then it's going to cut to Julie doing what she's doing on a normal day. And then we'll take everybody on some sort of adventure we might get onto out of the working days of the week on Saturday and Sunday. And so that kind of started us along the track of, well, could we do this more in other locations, both inside and outside the US? And if we do that, should we just stick to, well, it's still going to be adventures, but today's adventure may be, I have no idea where I am in this town because this is new, but we're going to take you along with us. And that's kind of how we see it. We want to take you, our friends, along with us, and every day is not going to be a 10, but hopefully it's interesting enough, whether it's us or what we're filming, that we have people that stick with us, if you will.
Right. And I think you guys have been doing that like really well, because as you guys have been putting out the videos, and as you guys have been, growing as people and also content creators as such, your content has gone from maybe like, oh, like maybe a video here or there, or maybe it's once a week, to like daily, right? So
We have been
Whoa.
daily content creators for, I think, almost a year and a half at this point. Not vloggers, but daily content creators. Yeah.
Right. And
It's fun.
I was going to touch on that in a second, but one thing I wanted to kind of ask you guys is, because I've been through a similar thing, right, as you guys, like starting a brand new channel. So I started in 2018,
Okay.
and having 0 subscribers, right? And at the time, I kind of like told a few family and friends, and at first they kind of like, we'll see how that goes,
Yeah, right.
But then as it's gone along, they're like, oh, okay, well this guy's serious, right? Like he's actually
Yeah.
finding his feet and this platform. So how's the journey been for you guys, right? Like what's been like the highest of highs you've had so far, and then what's been kind of like the low point you've experienced?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I know.
Because they might be different. I'm curious.
I've got to think about what my answer to that would be.
Okay.
it always seems like the things that do well are not the things that maybe meant the most to me personally. So you answer if you have.
So
Right.
I think, Mike, and I know you are well aware of this. It's hard when you put in the work and you're loving where you're at or what you're reviewing or what you're talking about, to then turn around and figure out that so much of this is out of your control because you're uploading it to a platform where it's going to go through all different types of digital whatever, right? To maybe get the view. And so there was a time where we were trying to directly attribute how much work you're putting into it versus views or comments or, hey, I made 10 cents off of this today. I would tell you that maybe the highest high was when we were, first notified that we had hit all the little buttons to become monetized, because I always felt like we were just playing around. Julie has a grandmother, and I call her my grandmother too. And so we're like, well, if we're making them for her, if she's the only person that's on the channel, but she's enjoying, oh, I saw you guys here or there, we're okay with that. Like you said, with friends and family. But then when we kind of, I don't know, we kind of just turned around and it was like, oh, we're actually big enough to begin to make some money. So then I think I shifted in talking about, oh no,
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
technology.
It's all
If that,
good.
I hope that's never happened before now, Mike. I hope we're the first one.
It's never happened, but for anyone who's listened to the Spotify version, the camera just fell. We got a nice glance of Michael's socks. That's
Of
what
course
we've
it
got
did.
to
Of
say. But no, carry on, my friend.
No,
You're all
no.
good.
So
That's your high.
I think that was the high, because I think what it did was shifted in me to say, okay, there's enough folks out there around the globe that find you interesting enough that you get a little bit back from it, and I think it reinvigorates you. It's hard now to try to not make it a business, but the one thing that Julie and I have always said is we can never get to the point, regardless of how little we stay or how big we get, to not take the fun away from it. And
Right.
at the point that it becomes like, it feels like it's real work, or that you have to hit these deadlines. And we've had a little bit of that this year, to your point, because of kind of the upticks in growth and watch time hours. It becomes this thing of, okay, well, we'll plan for months out or weeks out, but we're still not going to hold ourselves or hold Julie to, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. I don't know if I have a low point, because it was always entertainment from the beginning, that we started kind of filming. It was always entertainment.
I've just been walking through the channel in my mind over the years and where we were and what we were posting. And I remember the first time I got like so excited, other than you, of course, being our first comment. But we had gone to Ireland and toured a bunch of the old, we call them castles here, but we were corrected by an Irishman. They're not castles, they're country homes. But the ones that are just like ruins from 800, we have nothing in the United States still standing from 800 years ago,
Right.
piles of shells. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just awestruck by this place called O'Day Castle in Ireland. And we had to kind of rush through it. We couldn't film it very well. It was so dark that day. So inside the castle the footage was just terrible. But we had such a good time because it was so beautiful. And when I came home, I uploaded a video about it. And I've had so many descendants of the O'Day family comment on that video from all over the world. Most of them have immigrated to America now and live here. But commenting on, they get together every year for the reunion, or they go to the castle, or they wish they could go see the castle, or they have good memories from there. Getting to hear from these people and realize I got to go somewhere it was cool to me, but to them it's so much more.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably my first moment on YouTube where it was like, wow, this is exciting, and I'm making connections with other human beings I would never know in any other way. That was my first big.
And I think with Julie, it's probably a different perspective, because I would say if you look at the number of videos that are on the channel, and the primary person that's running it is her. So, for her, she's holding herself to this set of I won't say strict, but these really concise, plans, and she's got journals where she wants to film this and that.
Vision
But
boards.
but I do agree. I think
Sure.
I think it was that video. That was the first time, not the first time out of the country to travel, but the first time we'd actually had a channel. And so I kind of take her along with me on a work trip where we're meeting in Dublin, but then she gets to go off and spend days kind of exploring on her own. And then we have 4 days by ourselves with a car that we're just going from Dublin all the way to Galway across the entire width of the island and kind of exploring ourselves. And so I think we both came back with a little bit of fresh air of, okay, what could this be? And then we went so many days back to, oh, I wish we had it for this trip and we'd had the channel at this time, because it becomes this, we don't take pictures anymore. It becomes this thing of, oh, well, we have the library that's uploaded to YouTube. If there's ever a, oh, hey, when did that happen?
Right.
We go back, like, I've been on the treadmill before at the gym and pull up one of Julie's standalone videos from Ireland to watch because I couldn't remember something about the trip along the way, and she had went and done that, while I was in meetings. So that, I think there's been probably 4 or 5 over the short number of years we've been playing around on this channel. That's what I'll use for the words, but of pivotal moments where it's just a little bit more to encourage you. But the low points, I think, if you want to call them low, are when, Julie's telling me she's slogging it out and she's put in 15, 20 hours of editing. And
And nobody wants to
you
watch
get
it.
10 views, Mike. You get 10 views
Right.
and you're going, what are you seeing or not seeing that I was seeing? And
The algorithm is so weird. So many people will
Yeah.
view something I never thought they would be interested in, and then it'll be something I think is the coolest thing ever, and that nobody cares. And it's so tricky, it's very tricky to figure out.
Yeah, I think you guys touch on a great point. Like, that's something that I'm still learning as we're talking, and you guys have been learning as you've been advancing through your adventures, in the States or in Ireland, as you've just touched upon. And you're right, like the videos you put like the most effort in, you're like, right, I love that. That's a banger. That's gonna do numbers
Yeah.
on YouTube. You're right, it gets like 10 views, right? But then like the most stupidest video gets like 10,000 views.
Yeah.
Like it's
yeah,
like there was a just very quickly, there was a, to give you an example, right? So like you guys, right? So I've done like some Back to the Future videos on the channel, which I
Yeah.
love and I'm going to be doing more of.
yeah,
But, like those ones are really passionate. And sometimes I might get like 100 or 200. I'm like, hey, it's still great, right? I enjoy that. But then like last year, I went to like a horror like Comic-Con convention.
yeah.
I put up like a little short of this guy who was dressed as like a Spider-Man zombie variant in Marvel.
Mhm.
And that short got like 4 million views and
Oh
still
my
going.
God.
Oh, congratulations.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
well, thank you. But like, it's how stupid it was. It's like,
It's random,
dude,
right?
filmed this guy in his own cosplay costume.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
It's
And
so
he's, like,
random.
I know.
Right.
It's so what gets caught up in the algorithm is so unpredictable.
We had a series of
Right.
views where we had traveled to Greece and Albania, and some way or the other, I get back from the gym one morning and Julie tells me the big beach day that she spent all this time on,
Hours editing this video.
hours, it's just lost. It's gone, Mike. She doesn't know. It got deleted. It didn't upload on the channel correctly. And so I retrieved the raw video. We sit down for less than an hour to cobble something together. And just to your point, like it
I don't know if I can say this word, but I put in a half amount of effort into putting it back together because my heart wasn't in it
Right.
after putting all those hours the first time.
Right.
And it actually did really well on our channel. And it was like, now everybody viewed this video. I put like 30 seconds of stupid stuff together and didn't even try. I don't
Yeah.
think the voices lined up with the faces or anything. And that one did really well. And then the ones that like Hernando de Soto, I think I spent 15 hours working on that video, scripting it, everything. And then I deleted it by accident before I even uploaded it, and it deleted in pieces and couldn't be put back together. And Michael got the audio, and I'm like, I'm just going to use some crappy footage of me hiking
Right.
crappy,
Right.
terrible, out of focus, didn't have a stabilizer. It was nauseating to watch it.
And
And it's not,
it did
there's
well.
nothing
No,
more
that one didn't.
heartbreaking
Yeah,
though.
right. Yeah,
It
it
just
is.
depends on what people are looking for, I guess.
That's the other
Right.
thing. And I'm sure you know these growing pains too, Mike. But it's you have to make these decisions of when do I invest next, right? What's the next piece I need to get to
Right.
elevate whatever it is you're trying to get better at, if it's audio or if it's video or if it's editing software.
For us, it'll be a camera that we're right side up.
So
But no, you're right though. You're right. You make a good point though.
yeah, it's so random. I also think, and I'm sure you understand this as well. There was a time where, whether or not it was we were consciously doing it, we were watching folks, whether we just liked their content or like yourself, or we actually liked the person, and trying to do small imitations. Right? We
Right.
weren't being individual enough, whether or not we were doing that consciously or not. And so I also think that's another little thing that you have to kind of get out of your own way with as you move along on YouTube, is to try to figure out your own lane. Yeah, there's going to be overlap with some things, but you can't really do a me too, although I know there are a lot of
Yeah.
those out there. We're trying to be something a little bit different. So no, we're not going to be getting on an airplane to go to another country every month or every other month. But I think for us, one of the most important things, if not the most, is that people are coming and they think we're down to earth, authentic people. We may not be the most interesting people in the world, but maybe you're here because you like our personalities, or you like my accent, or you
Right.
want to see where we are today, right? That's what we're hoping for. We would love to have everybody, even if it doesn't grow any larger, everybody to feel like they're friends on the channel. That's kind of important to us too.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, because people come to your channel ultimately for you, right? Like your
Yeah.
personality, how you film, or as you said, like sometimes I might not see every video you guys put out, because again, you guys do
Well,
it
same.
daily, right? I try catch up. But then like sometimes I'll see a video and it'll be like, hey, we've moved, or like, hey, like this is happening. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh crap, okay, I've got to catch up.
We
I'm like, what's going on,
And that was scary. I don't know if you want to get into all that, but for me, that was a little bit scary to start this kind of digital nomading thing, because
Right.
I'm really detail and routine oriented, and so where I know where things are, of course, I'm a little bit more comfortable. And like I said, when we went to the South America, we did that for over 2 months with Julie's brother and our sister-in-law, and they've been doing that for years. Um, it was it's a big learning experience for both of us. And so now we've kind of spent, it's well gosh, we were there this time last year. So yeah, it's I guess it's been a full year now, a little over by a few days, of doing exactly that, just kind of popping around in different locations, sometimes for the sake of us and comfort and friends and family, sometimes for the sake of content. That's another thing. We kind of sit down and start saying, okay, what would folks on the channel like to see? Well, it's probably not going to be daily videos from, where we've lived the longest, or where there's not a whole lot of content to get. So we try to balance that as well. And I think we've gotten better at it, and that's another thing that we hope that folks come to the channel for, is to learn a little bit of something. Whether they're thinking about doing that digital nomad thing, or they're wanting to see maybe that movie, to give an example you had, Mike, or if it's just to say, okay, what are they doing today? We're just, basically we're just enjoying ourselves and uploading it, and hope people enjoy it.
Right.
And you learn. That's the thing. As long as we're learning, I don't think we'll not have that joy. We'll want to
You're
share.
making human connections.
Yeah.
Right. And this is one thing I wanted to actually ask you guys, with living this kind of digital nomad life, right? So I've seen the movie Nomad that came out, I think it was a few years ago, Francis McDormand. I don't know if you guys ever seen that one.
I've seen pieces of it, Mike. Yeah, I've seen.
Okay. So how do you guys find moving around? And like, what have you learned along the way now to be like, right, next time you're gonna move somewhere, it's like a painless process as you can,
Sure.
Well, we are lucky because my brother and his wife have been doing this for years. I mean, since way before 2020. He's always worked a job where he could work remote, and they've been doing this for many years. So we kind of had an example to follow. And we actually are living with them right now. And this is the first time we've lived with them in a year. The last time was last summer in Colombia, South America. So we kind of had a little bit of a pattern to follow. And they told us basically you just set aside an entire day to move, and you don't have any expectations on yourself, what you think you're going to get done. Just move and settle. Find a gym, go to the grocery store, stock your fridge, and then the first morning you wake up, just pretend like it's normal, like it's home. Make your coffee, go to the gym, do your workout, walk your dog. And it seems kind of bizarre to think of changing locations and constantly, but it really is. You just do the things you would do. We're not on vacation. We don't live on vacation. So our routine does not have to be disrupted any more than normal, as long as we get all of our belongings moved from this house to that house. So we have found a real sweet spot now of just kind of moving our clothes, unpacking, going to the grocery store, stocking, and then just being the people that we are. And it's becoming less and less difficult every time we do it. We've been moving about every 2 months now this will be 12 or 13 months. Every 2 months we move. It's great. I don't have to do any deep cleaning because
right.
Every time the ceiling fans need to be dusted, we move. So, but yeah, we're getting to where it's very comfortable now.
It's I would say
you probably would say the same, right?
Yeah, no, definitely getting more comfortable. I would tell you, Mike, the first time we did it, when we went to Colombia, even though we were with family, and we're in the town where our sister-in-law was born and raised, so we had extended family there. All of her family was there too. It probably took me a solid week to feel comfortable. And by that, I mean where I knew where stuff was at home, being able to walk to the gym, walk back, be able to set up the computer to do my work Monday through Friday. Everybody have their own little space to be able to work from. But now, having been here we're starting week 3, it's probably been shortened to about 2 days of turnaround, to where I'm starting to kind of get into that routine. I will also say that the one thing that we try to take away, and I've just said it a little bit ago about the channel, but we try to take everyone experience to learn from it, the good and the bad. And so things like, okay, what do you actually need? And what should we be traveling with? And so we've kind of got it down to, we each one get a checked piece of luggage. We each one get a large book bag. And then Julie has a small book bag for electronics, and Abra our dog's stuff. And that's what we've gotten it down to. So whether or not we're driving, because we drove here, or we're flying to, we can fit everything into that space now. Of course, that's not all of our stuff. We do have a storage unit still, but every time we go back to it, we try to downsize, or every time we leave a place, we try to get rid of something, or if we replace it, it's a 1-to-1. So something goes out if something comes in.
Yeah.
We're getting better. We are not experts at it by any means, but I did not think I was actually capable of doing that at my age, because we all get into a groove after we leave university, and kind of find our sweet spot, whether that's a location, a person, or a way of life. And so to kind of turn it on its head, for Julie and I, just a year ago, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but there's not been anything that's been bad from it. I think we've grown. I think our relationship has grown. I think the way that we travel has become more efficient. And so while we wouldn't sit here and tell you that we want need or will do it forever, for the time being, it's been really neat. And we've had some great experiences, whether it has been with, family or it's been on our own.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean that's like you know what it is. I'll commend you guys. I'll put it that way because not because people's listening to this right and they're going like, "Oh, you guys move every 2 months? Like what?
I know.
Right? Like whereas me, like you might not be able to tell, but the time this video, like some of my backgrounds are a little bit empty than normal because I'm kind of busy going through a house move
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
First
Oh,
time
wow, I hadn't noticed. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you,
And
thank you. I mean, that's it.
congratulations on your recent marriage.
I see what I'm saying. I'm sure it's from the marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's kind of like just like, to be honest. So I've always lived with my mum and dad.
Yeah.
And then last year I moved into my wife's house permanently because it's mortgaged.
Yeah.
And then now we're like at the stage to be like, oh, okay, we're going to get like a little bit of a not a huge house. We can't afford a huge house, right? But like a little bit of a bigger house, and
Yeah.
like future plans if we ever decide to maybe have a child one day. Who knows? But like, so speaking of like what you guys are talking about and the move, is I've been kind of packing up boxes recently, right? And I'm like, God, I dread taking this stuff down to the new house, right? And
Yeah.
I've got to pack all this up, and then the bookcases have got to come as well, and
It's
for you guys to do this every 2
Yeah,
months.
one of the painful parts of becoming a digital nomad was I did have to let go of a lot of things I had collected for many, many years. And
Right.
I thought they were sentimental, and then I put them in storage. And the longer I spent away from them, the more I realized I just can't be that person. I wish that I could. I wish that I could have a house and display everything I'm proud that I collected. But there's a whole bunch of things that are downsides. It's not the life for everybody, I'm sure.
but we both, Mike, we both collect different things. This girl's in love with Phantom of the Opera, so she has big. I mean, a lot of what you have behind you, she has.
It's bucket list to come see it in London, and I'll definitely try to see you while we're there.
She has all of these different collectibles that are glass and fragile, and
I've given most of them away.
Now, right. Yeah, that was then. And so it does become, oh, that's going to hurt when you're first doing it. But like Jules said, eventually it seems like what ends up happening is not that you don't think about those things. There are times that you do, but that you realize they're not necessary. It does give you a little bit more perspective about that word essential when you're traveling, and look, everything has to fit in one of these 2 bags because that's the deal we made with each other. And it's not even a thing, Mike. It's not even, hey, do you have room in your suitcase? Because I would like to put, like, we have decided this is what we're going to do. So whatever it is, if you've bought new stuff here, nobody gives room in their suitcases. Like you have it. So it makes you rely more on the memories that you're making. You start talking about times that we were here rather than, oh, do you remember that, that's on the wall or behind you or what have you. It shifts, your perspective shifts. I think the longer you do it, it has for us so far. At first, it hurt. Some of the things hurt. Like I was like, because there would be times Julie would ask me if there was one thing you could go to the storage unit and get right now, what it would be. And you would think about the little collectibles or the tchotchkes, whatever it is that you think that means so much to you because of whatever. And slowly you just kind of put it out, out of sight, out of mind type of a thing.
Right. Well, my question to you guys is, okay, so you've got this, suitcase to take, right? And like a rucksack, and like that's your space. So what is one item you wish you could take with you wherever you guys travel to that you can't because it's too big?
Oh. You mean something that I currently own or something that I wish I owned?
Either one.
I gotta think about that for a second.
That's a really good question. For me, I got an answer already. A piano.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I am not good, but I enjoy playing a piano, and I had a piano when I owned a home. I sold the piano when we decided we didn't want to be homeowners anymore, but I did have a really nice keyboard.
Yeah.
But I donated the keyboard when we decided to go digital nomad. And so now I do have a flute and I really enjoy it, but I don't make the time that I would make if I had my piano. And there's no way to travel, even with a keyboard, would be completely
It'd be different.
impractical.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
What would you wish you had?
I really don't. I don't.
We're learning to live without.
Yeah, I
a
don't
lot.
know, Mike. I'm trying to
Right.
go through my brain of what we have
A
left
grill.
in storage. A grill. Yeah, that
I
it gets difficult. So this is a thing we can talk about.
Yeah.
Is every time you show
Right.
up to a new place that's
New kitchen
furnished,
stuff.
yeah, what little adjustments do you have to make because
You might be
something's there
renting
or
a
not
house
there?
that belongs to a vegan. And when all you need is steak and you have like right now we have an air fryer, but it's teeny tiny and there's no way to make a good steak in this air fryer. We are getting slaughtered every day with our comments.
Yeah.
We used to grill every day and we got great comments because our steaks look great, but now we can only air fry. The coffee mug is about all we can get in the air fryer. So being able to travel with the things you need to make the food you like would be.
Yeah, I guess that's a big one. Yeah, that's a big one.
I'm putting that one in your mouth, but
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's a good one.
that's the one you complain about the most.
Yeah, that's true. That is. But anything else, we don't have anything big left in the storage unit. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, but it's. I think it was not. I will be straight up honest. It was not comfortable in the beginning. Not for me. I think Julie has always been a little bit more of a free spirit, wanderlust, just kind of let the wind take you type of a thing. And I'm not that way. That's just not been my personality. I have learned and been grateful for it to kind of be able to adjust a little bit quicker, not take the time to have to analyze everything to say, okay, let's, put this in this box and this in this box. But it takes practice. It wasn't easy every step that we made, but it has all, I think, been good steps, whether or not we saw that or understood that in the beginning when we were having whatever discussion it was. It has been a really good experience. I think there's a lot also to be said about changing locations every few months by way of, reworking your brain. You're trying to make new connections, whether that's the bathroom light is over here now or we're only sharing one sink or
When we spend a lot of time around Mary, we talk a lot about creating new neural pathways because it's in her field of study. And so we're all constantly trying to think of ways to make life harder on ourselves.
Okay.
And this is a great way of doing it.
She's talking about our sister-in-law, Mike.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't think you.
No, it's
forgot.
okay.
Yeah. My sister-in-law, my brother's wife.
So,
okay.
You start, but I will say you kind of start thinking other things besides what
the easy way out.
Can I not live without? Like Julie said, yeah, there's still days Julie misses her piano. But then you say, but would it be worth it to be stuck in a specific location for the sake of having the piano in the house, the apartment, whatever it might be? And then you kind of come to the conclusion that no, for right now, the way we're doing it, we like, and we're going to continue to do it that way. And if that changes, then we'll have another discussion. And because in the beginning we had to have a discussion there, there was a time that Julie wanted it 100% full throttle. And I wasn't sure. I didn't know. And so we decided that flying to South America, where it was a very easy flight from the US. And hey, we could get right back to our friends and family if we needed to in a half a day. So let's go practice. We wanted to give that a trial run and have as much support as we could. And like I said, you just kind of, you learn. But I think it takes a particular type of person to do that with. And that means having those honest conversations about what do each one of you want, and can this work together? Because there's learning curves. There's a lot of learning curves with it. But I think that only good things could come from trying something this unknown, and not as unknown as it once was, but new to still the majority of people out there.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's been a huge learning experience for you guys, like every step that you continue to take. As you said, like it's getting easier to unpack, it's getting easier to move. It's,
Yeah,
as you said, like adjustment to like a new life as such, right? It's taken like days instead of like weeks, as you said.
right,
it used to.
right.
So
Mhm.
my question to you guys is, well, two questions. I would love to know how you guys first met, if you don't mind me asking. And also, like, for you guys, after having those discussions, what was the turning point of you guys deciding, right, we're going to have a nomad lifestyle? Because
Mhm.
that's a huge adjustment, right? So, yeah, that's what I'd love to know from you guys.
Okay. You
We met on a dating app. We met on Bumble.
Well, me and
Do
my
you know?
wife met on Tinder, so hey,
Okay. Well, there you
yeah,
go.
Isn't that how
right,
everybody meets these
right.
days? I think. Remember back in the old days of dating apps where you had to come up with a story you were going to tell your friends because you didn't want to admit you met on it, and we met on a dating app.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I had moved to an area where Julie was from. I was coming from a different state
For work.
for work, and kind of had to cast the net much further than the little town that I was located
It
in at
was
the time.
100 miles away, which is
Yeah, it was 100
Wow.
miles because I
Wow.
couldn't find anyone in my immediate area.
Right.
And she popped up. Spoiler alert: she used an alias.
I was so scared of being stalked or
Okay.
harassed that I used
So-
a fake name, but I forgot that I used a fake name until I went out with him and everything was going great. You know, we weren't really using names yet. And then I think you called
I
me
called her Robin.
by my fake name. It was Robin was the name. And I was like, what? Who did you think was on this date with you? I totally forgot that I had used this fake name, and that was awkward. That was so
Yeah,
awkward.
I thought I had
Right.
screwed up and put the wrong name in my phone.
I'll just leave. Go call Robin.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how we met.
That's funny.
And then
How did we?
And how long ago was that?
That was in. We met in person in January, but
Yeah.
I think we had been talking for a month or so.
That's
So
right.
that would have been December, around Christmas time, 2007. No, so 2000,
Eight.
2017.
Yeah.
And then we met in person
Wow,
in
okay.
2018. Yeah.
Yeah.
In January of 2018.
Yeah, I wanted to meet her on New Year's Eve, Mike. She wouldn't agree to that. She needed to
I wanted a
have.
single New Year's Eve.
Yeah, she wanted to.
Okay.
It was so
Okay.
So we
boring.
met the day after.
It was so bad.
Okay. Each to their own.
Yeah. So, and then let's see what was the next little
There
step?
was a whole litany of things that led up. If you're talking about to us traveling full time,
Yeah.
it started kind of with 2020 and us getting
mhm.
landlocked in our house. So we decided to sell it, and then we moved into an apartment. And then we didn't really like where we had moved, and we ended up just randomly, kind of almost on a whim, moving to Florida. I
Yeah.
was so attached to my roots and my hometown and my family and my friends, my routine, my everything. I thought I will never leave North Carolina. I will die here. This is my favorite place on earth. It doesn't get any better than this. And then Michael said he wanted to move to Florida, and I was like, sure, I can do that. But once we moved to Florida, I never really felt settled. Like it felt like a whole lot of fun, but it didn't really feel like home.
Right.
And we just kind of, when our lease ended after our second year there, we just sort of started thinking if an opportunity presents itself, we're going to probably relocate anyway. That's when Columbia presented itself, and we thought we'd
Yeah.
just have this hurrah, we'll go to Columbia with no plan, and in 12 weeks we'll figure it out then.
Yeah.
And we came back from Columbia just to visit friends and family, and so we kind of accidentally did the same thing of renting a place for a month, and
Yeah.
it just sort of snowballed where it was like, we'll settle down next time, or we'll settle down next year, or when this Airbnb ends, maybe we'll look for a permanent place. And the more we stay on the move, the more we just don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think Julie's right. So just going back, when we met, neither one of us were remote workers at all. And when the house was sold and we moved to another area of town in Charlotte, North Carolina, I was told eventually that, hey, we're going permanently remote. Things had changed at work. And we kept hearing about, you know, Florida and opportunities in Florida. And I thought, well, if I'm going to Florida, I would like to be as close to the coast as I can. So I started researching it, knowing that Julie's entire family is here. So trying to convince her to move out of state, she'd never moved out of state. I had moved out of state before from where I was from. She had never moved out of state. Was going to take some convincing. So I come up with this little thing and I say, let's give it a year. We're going to go down there, get away from the big cities, slow down. I found a little quiet beach town that's just south of Canaveral, where the NASA is. And so, if we want to go on a cruise, it's close to that. It's not touristy. We're outside. We're enough miles outside of that area that it's not a touristy area, and we're just going to slow things down. COVID had been just crazy in that city where we were, and so she agreed. I'll give it a year, and then a year goes by, and we decide to do it for a second year. And then I think you're right. I think after that second year, we were like, okay, we're now in another transitional state. So what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? And we had come home for Easter and had a conversation with Julie's brother and sister-in-law. And we're like, hey, that's new. That's different. We had traveled with them for, 10-ish days at a time, different places. Why don't we attempt to kind of live together? And it's neat. I will say it's neat when you live in the tribe environment, because each person brings I want to say a different set of skills, but a different little specialty. So if
Right.
you're with the right people, you can kind of figure out the ins and outs of how to make the whole house flow. There's always growing pains. We learned from the last time being in Columbia a year ago than when we all moved in this time. So you kind of take the good and the bad, and you figure out, well, if we do this again, here's what we would do different. And so yeah, that's kind of how we really accidentally slipped into it, because given Julie the confidence to realize she could leave made her just blow up
Yeah.
and say, well, I can go anywhere now. I can live anywhere
Right.
now.
I'm
And so
not settling down.
that's kind of how it went from just moving out of state to now moving anywhere we kind of put our pulse on, if you will.
It's taking that leap of faith. I think it's the same for if you
Was.
decide to get on a plane and just go travel to a different country
Yeah,
altogether.
absolutely.
For a while, you guys are right, like as Julie said, like North Carolina, like that's your home, that's your comfort, right? And
Yeah,
stepping out of that comfort zone can be like horrifying at times.
It was.
Yeah. absolutely.
So far from where you guys have like traveled to, so where is a state that you really want to go to, and what's a state that you would never go back to?
Never
You
go
talking about a state in the United States?
Yeah. So I know to avoid that.
Pretty much anything you fly over to get from one beach to the other.
Right.
You wouldn't
right.
want to go
I
to?
want to go back.
Okay, yeah.
We are currently in Washington, D.C., and believe it or not, neither one of us have ever been here in our lives.
Yeah.
It's actually a required field trip for, I think it's 8th graders all across the country go to Washington, D.C., or maybe it's high school. But I was homeschooled, so I missed out on that. And Micah was involved in, I guess, sports and missed out.
Yeah, they didn't actually do it the year
We've
that I
never been
was.
to the capital of our own city. And my whole life, I've said I had zero interest in Washington, D.C. There's no way it could be interesting. And here we are. This is the coolest city I think I've ever been to. So I say that. And then everyone else tells me, you say that everywhere you go.
She does. She does.
Every city we travel to, I'm like, this is the coolest place I've ever been. I never want to.
Let's buy a house and live here. Like, that's the conversation every
Right.
time, Mike. It's the first, yeah.
Then the ceiling fans get dusty and I'm ready to go. I don't
Right.
think there's anywhere I've ever been that I never want to go back to. There are places I have zero interest in, but I can find pretty much any place can become interesting once I'm there, because I don't know anything about it, and that's why I'm not interested in it. So once I start deep diving into, well, what made this place what it is today, what history has it gone through, I get really like wrapped up in that. I did that in Florida. I started
Yeah.
to do that in South America, especially when we started going to museums down there.
Yeah.
I can pretty much entertain myself anywhere.
I would like to ask you, from someone who has not lived in the States, are there cities you have been told
Yeah.
to not come and visit? Because I haven't. I've got 3 in my mind right now that I would say no again, and would die happy if I never had to go.
So okay, I'll give you a context of where I've been to.
Okay.
So I've been Florida.
Yeah.
I think most people have probably been
Yeah.
to Florida, right? But then I did 2019. I did a West Coast of America trip, so I got to see like
Oh,
LA,
nice. Yeah.
Vegas,
Oh, wow.
San Fran,
Yeah.
stuff like that, which was really cool. I've heard people have said don't go to Memphis, but I kind of want to go to Memphis.
No.
It was a one and done for me. It was well before
Okay.
I ever met Julie, and I told her, I was like, yeah, there's no reason for you to want to go there.
Okay.
Anything you need to see in Memphis, you can find on YouTube.
What about
Okay.
Cleveland, Ohio, Mike?
I'd be up for going to. You know what it is? I'm kind of like you guys, like a bit of a free. I'm a bit like you guys, a bit of a free spirit. Like I love traveling.
Yeah.
And I love like going somewhere new, seeing somewhere brand new. If it's terrible, I'll spend a night or two and then that's it. You know. And
Okay.
I'm like, right, I'll maybe
You
not
kind
go
of
there
did that
again.
in Japan, right? Kind of kept moving around.
Yeah. So the thing is with Japan, like it's been a dream holiday for me for like the longest time. So like we had like an original itinerary booked where it was like so many nights Tokyo, so many nights Kyoto, so many nights Osaka.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like my wife Emma, she was like, "Well, hey, I want to do a capsule hotel while we're there." So we did one of
Yeah.
those that was really like, different, but yeah, I like it. But yeah, like for me, like going there, I don't know if maybe you guys get like this as well, but I was like researching on the internet, being like, right, so in this day we can fit in like 5 activities, right?
Yeah.
And the next
Yeah.
day, right, that's a full write-off day, you know, or like this and that. Because I love seeing something brand new. I don't like wasting my time if I'm somewhere brand new. You know, like when
Yeah.
I'm back home, like here today, like I keep myself busy all day, but
Right.
you know, I
Right.
can take it maybe a bit easier, you know. But like if I'm abroad, I'm like, you know, I'm on the
Have to
clock,
do.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
that's one thing that I have learned to really appreciate about being a digital nomad is that before, when we were taking vacations for like 7 days in Mexico or 7 days in Greece, I felt like we had to be so high energy and had to have such a tight schedule and go, 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 do, do, do. It was exhausting. It was so much fun, but it was exhausting. And then when you leave, you're just kind of beating yourself up over the things you didn't get to do.
That's true.
I have really
Yeah.
come to appreciate being able to move and kind of settle down and take it all in on my, a little bit slower, take in the culture, take in the locals, try to find the things about that people who are tourists might not find.
And you kind of figure out that after about 2 months, Mike, you're going, okay,
Maybe
I'm actually ready to go now. Let's figure
Right.
out where the next place. It does feel that way, even when we do go back to what we consider home in Charlotte, North Carolina. After about 2 months, it's like, okay, we've seen everybody. The social meter is full. Let's go off again and have another adventure for a few months and then come back. The 2 months, we weren't sure what that was even going to be. Or how many times out of the year we would want to really do it. We started talking about that at the end of the year, as far as, do you break it into months, quarters, every 6 months? And so right now, I think it's really nice the way that we just kind of do it when we feel like it,
Right. And I think that's probably kind of like a really cool avenue to like go down a route of like thinking, because as you said, right, like you might be there for 2 months, you be like, well, hey, that's enough time. You might get there for like next place for a month and be like, yeah, I'm done, right? Or you might get something for like 5 months and you're like, well, actually, I'm loving it here. I'm kind of like okay for now, right? And then down the line, would you guys ever do the digital nomad in the UK? Have you ever thought about that? Would that be
Yes,
kind of
absolutely,
logistically like too hard to do, or
super
No.
high on our bucket list right
yeah.
now.
okay? Okay, nice.
We are hoping to do another international trip before the end of the year, but there are some things that we're kind of waiting to see how they shake out.
Right.
But we are absolutely hoping. We really want to do a month at some point in Ireland. I would really like to do some time in Scotland. I would probably prefer to do Scotland over Ireland if I had the option, just because I've recently gotten into to Outlander, and I'm realizing
Okay,
how
nice.
beautiful
Nice.
how beautiful Scotland is, and I'm sure it's nothing like the show. I actually don't like the show. I just like the scenery and the
Right.
castles and the costumes. Um,
Right.
we're hoping to do that, and then I have so many things in England that I want to see so bad. I have been a Royals watcher. I don't watch the Kardashians or politics or celebrities here in the U.S., but I keep an eyeball on the royal family. I have since before
Wow.
William and
Okay.
Kate got married. Yeah, every time
Yeah,
Kate sneezes, every time she changes into a new pair of heels, I mean, I'm on it. I have been keeping up with them. So there's so many things I really want to see in England. Like I said, Phantom of the Opera and London is a bucket list for me. So that is high on our list of things that we are hoping to be able to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
UK just looks like such a cool place.
And when we do, I'm not going to say if, Mike, we're going to consult you to say what towns
Right.
do we need to go? How do we plan this out if it's going to be multiple areas in the country, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys need any advice for that, let me know, because there's some cool places here in the UK. Like, to me, it's not as cool because obviously I live here. I've been to a few places. I'm like,
Yeah.
this place is okay and stuff. Like it's different because like in England we were like, oh, we really would love to go to America or Japan, but you guys are like, oh yeah, I'd love to come to the UK.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
really? Why? But no, there's some really beautiful places here though.
I think it has more to do with maybe the natural state of the country. It just
Right.
seems from from what we see on television, because we've only ever had an overnight in London Heathrow. That's as close as we
It's
got
just
on.
overwhelming
Wow.
to us to be able to visit countries that have such an extensive history.
Yeah, the history.
1,000
Yeah.
years of history. We don't. Yes, there were people living here, but there's just so little left to see of it. And for you guys to be able to go into an abbey from
Yeah.
the 14th century, I have to even do math to figure out what is the 14th. How long ago was that? It's so many years ago, and it's still standing, and you just live in that. That has to be exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like, it's like, I say, there's some beautiful like monuments. Even nearby, we've got something called Durham Cathedral, and it's about maybe 10-minute drive from my house. And it's been there for years. It's huge, and they shot parts of like Harry Potter there, and like
Oh, really?
Marvel like Endgame. Like Chris Hemsworth was there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But like that's free to see as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what was amazing. That was one of the most amazing things in Ireland for us is we rented a car. I got used to driving on the left side of the road.
Right.
And, yeah, right. And we get on the
I screamed for 6 days straight.
It was
seeing
the stone walls, Mike, on this side of you. It's a little bit different there when you're driving.
Right.
And they told us, just don't stop. Let the tour buses, they'll get around you. Just don't stop on these. But to be able to see the road signs for landmarks to get off the highway, and it's this abbey or it's this old ruin of a castle or settlement. I mean, we spent a day just doing that. Just every sign we saw, we popped off the highway, we stopped, we read the signage, we took a little bit of photo and video. And it was one of the best days we had, just going around with no plan, but seeing all that history. And that's what we're hoping to really do in England. We'd both love to do that too.
Oh, there's so much to see. Like in terms of that in England, you're right. It's like every turn post or something, it's like a castle or a ruin.
Right.
One advice I would give you guys is if you ever go to London, don't drive in London.
Oh no, yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
No, it's because like in London, like a lot of, I mean, London's mainly flat anyway, as it is. There's not like huge uphills and downhills and stuff like that. But in London, it's just so congested because there isn't as much. But there's a lot of vehicles, but the roads are so small.
Yeah.
Like you might go straight, and you have to go on like a turn off. Then you go straight, then another turn off, then another turn off. Whereas like where I live, it's way more open, so like driving's fine. But in London, it's too congested. You would hate it. Trust me, you would hate it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't do
Yeah.
that.
No. Definitely. We've kind of gotten used to the subway system in different cities, so I think that's definitely the way we would be traveling if we couldn't walk it. We do like to get out and walk too.
Yeah, we really like walkable cities, but yeah.
Yeah, London, walking or the subway.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you have a great public transit system in London, so yeah, you'll be the first person we tell when we're coming to England.
Absolutely.
As soon as we get there and get unpacked and load up our groceries and get our dog her settled, yeah, we'd love to come hang out and have you just take us there, show us this cathedral, show us cool things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, like as soon as you guys can like come over to the UK, then yeah, I would love to meet you guys. Like make like a day or two free where I can travel down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Work and show you guys a few places that I know. Because where I live is like 3 hours from London,
Okay.
so it's like by train.
Yeah.
So I go to London now and then as like a tourist, right? But like here, it's just different way of life, right? Like busy. London's kind of like a New York.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
we're kind of like a quiet estate. I don't know what state that is though.
The ones you fly over.
Yeah.
Right.